I strongly believe that we are meant to work out every day. And I am strongly...
So no days off?
I just don't think that you need to.
Okay.
I really believe... I really know.
Our pregnant friend in the class turned around and said, you are responsible for getting her pregnant again because her body was so good.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Her husband couldn't resist her.
Yeah, she's like, look, I've been working out, my body is hot, and I got pregnant again, so she's back in.
Yeah, her third baby.
Welcome to another episode of 80/20. I'm Georgia Sinclair, and next to me I have Shanina Shaik, and today we are joined by a very dear friend of ours, Lauren Kleban, who is the creator of LEKFIT. She's a mum, she's an entrepreneur, she's a fitness legend. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
so
you
happy
for
to
joining
be here.
us.
Thanks, you guys.
So I want to kick off the show talking about LEKFIT, which is our favorite fitness method. As you know, Shanina and I are massive fangirls. We're in class all the time.
Yes.
We just sit there and watch you.
Yeah. So you guys, if you're not aware of what LEKFIT is, you should be. Check it out on Instagram. First impression for us when we walked into the class, and
Tell me.
we knew a little bit about it, but we didn't know you.
Yeah.
Was, I mean, it was a show. It was like going to
Yes.
Cirque du Soleil. I'm serious. Like, you walk in, I'll just set the scene for you. So you walk in, and there's a bunch of rebounders everywhere, so like mini trampolines, and everything is so chic. Like the studio is gorgeous. Pretty much everyone in the class is wearing black, which we love.
Yeah.
And then it's set up sort of like the rebounders are all spaced out, and then there's this stage at the front that has
It's actually not a stage, it's just the floor.
It's just the floor.
It's just, but it feels like a stage.
It feels like a
Yes.
stage. It's lit to look like a stage.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the lovely girls at LEKFIT go in, they set it up, they make it look amazing. And then in walks this gazelle, Lauren, who's sitting here on the couch. And it is just like, you don't even want to work out at the start because you're just too busy staring at you. Walking in, just going, oh my God, she looks so amazing. I want to look like her. So,
Thank you.
yes. So tell us a little bit about your business. Like, how did you come up with the LEK method? What's the inspiration behind it?
Well, before I did LEKFIT, I was a professional dancer. So it was a natural progression to go into fitness. And even while I danced, I was in the fitness industry, playing with all kinds of different class concepts, which ultimately became LEKFIT. And then when I had my first son, who's now 10, I had to pivot out of the professional dance world. And so that was really the time to get fully into fitness and begin creating a method. And what that was is I wanted something that I could do my full, complete workout in a shorter amount of time than I was used to because I was now a new mom and trying to navigate that. So I created what is now LEKFIT Boost, which you're describing the class that you guys took.
Yep, 9:30.
Yeah.
We're obsessed.
Your full, complete workout, and it's generally done in 50 minutes or less. And that was kind of the whole idea behind it. And then over time, I've come up with different iterations and different class concepts you guys have taken. Define, which is our hero mat ballet Pilates class that really complements the LEKFIT Boost class. And
Oh
then, of
God,
course-
I'm getting trauma here thinking about the burn that happens during Define.
Yeah. I think Define is more challenging than the Boost class.
Can you explain to everybody like what that is? Like with class, like the weights, how many workout tools we need, what we need to bring to class,
Yes.
because I think that's also important for people to understand. It's like, okay, that's a lot. It's the Boost, it's the trampoline, it's the Pilates, it's the ballet, it's the dance involved, but there's more.
Yeah. So I really designed it. I strongly believe that we are meant to work out every day. And I am
So
strongly...
no days off.
I just don't think that you need to.
Okay.
I really believe... I really... No, it's not a failure.
We're more
but
80/20.
it's one of those things. I think if you said, okay, for 30 days, I'm going to trust Lauren and I'm going to move my body every day. Now, we have different concepts. We have 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45, 50, and 60. So you don't have to move for 60 minutes every day. But I really think short of an injury or an ailment, we're designed to move. And I, of course, want you to move with me. So I've created a concept that you can do for 7 days without getting injured or burning out or overworking something. We've created it and structured it in a way that you can and should do it every day. And so within that 7-day period, you have a group of muscles that we're focusing on. And then that group switches next week. I don't believe in leg day, arm day, ab day, glute day. This body is what we have, and it's constantly working, and we need to constantly be working it together. I don't believe in separating those things, but I do believe in focusing and moving throughout those focuses to avoid plateau and boredom and injury. And so, yes, what you need as far as the props and the equipment changes also every 7 days. Some weeks were really heavy, 6 pounds, 10 pounds.
I mean, it's
And
heavy
some
when
weeks
you do it for
heavy,
a long time.
yeah. And it's just enough because, of course, we're for both men and women, but we are predominantly for females. I'm female. I'm the one creating the method. And so it's enough that I can build that strength, which becomes really important as we age. But it's not so much that I'm, getting my body to a place that I don't want it to be, and that wouldn't be natural. It wouldn't be natural for me to have big, huge muscles. That wouldn't be natural for my body. I would have to do a lot to get there. I just want a strong body for strong heart, strong bones, strong muscular structural system. And so that's why we kind of go back and forth and in between with the bands, the heavy weights, the ankle weights, and so on. And yeah, we have a concept that is intervals with cardio, and we have a concept that is no cardio, and kind of weave in and out throughout the week.
Wow.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the science behind it, because you said before that you don't believe in leg day, you don't believe in ab day, which is, I feel like that's how most people work out at the gym.
Yeah.
For you, every week you focus on a specific group of muscles, and that's what you do for the week.
Right.
Not only that, for those of you at home that don't know Lauren's technique, it's one exercise per song in your class,
Yes.
isn't it? So it can go for like 4 minutes.
So that's where my dance background comes in. So every class, you guys started the show talking about it being a stage, which I guess is really true. Yeah. Every class is designed as if it were a performance. So there's a very clear beginning, very clear middle, and a very clear end. And it is designed that way. And so the way I choreograph it is per song, and we use the beats and how we structure the playlist, which I'm sure you can understand, Georgia, is very specific and very important to the whole experience of the
I'm not going to
workout.
lie. I get my Shazam out in your class.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, damn, Lauren's
Makes
onto
me
something
so
that I don't know
happy.
about.
But
I love that.
it's the boost you need to keep you motivated to keep going.
Because we all can easily clip our workouts from our to-do list.
Yes.
That's oftentimes the first
Guilty.
thing to go.
Yeah. I came to your class 6 months postpartum, and I think 8 weeks, I think, is from your doctor, 6 to 8 weeks. They say you can get the clear to work out, and I worked out maybe once, and I was like, okay, well, I did it once, that's great. But I really took the time to get back into what felt great for me. And I remember Georgia sent you videos, and I was like, this is great. And then she mentions Lauren's had 3 kids. I was like, what?
Yes.
I was like, wow. So for me, coming into a workout and having a baby and knowing you, she's a mom. She knows what to do with her body. Obviously, for 3 kids, you know also the science about what is right for your body and what to do. And when I walked in, you asked some really great questions about what's happening with me, injuries, but just had a baby. You asked me if I just had a baby, and we're talking about prolapse and things that are happening inside. And I think that's a really important subject to talk about, because women seem to go into workout, or we get the clear from the doctor, all right, go ahead. But there's so many other factors that's happening with the body, and it's actually creating, I guess, more tragic events. Or if they don't take care of it, it can be very dangerous. So what is that for you? What are the big no-nos and the things to be cautious of?
So the first thing that we do is actually during pregnancy. So we start to alter and give modifications once someone has reached their second trimester. Prior to that, working out with me or really anything, the rule of thumb is you don't want to do anything new while you're pregnant. So if you were running on a treadmill pre-pregnancy, great, keep doing it. If you were riding on a bike, great, keep doing it. If you're jumping on the rebounder, great, keep doing it. That baby is not going to bounce out of your body. That's a popular question. And sometimes
Wait, people actually ask that?
people actually ask that, and oftentimes I have found that doctors aren't totally aware. They're very aware of what they do, but not necessarily aware of exercise. I know way back when my mom was having babies, women were told not to exercise while they were pregnant. That has completely shifted. And we found so many reasons why you absolutely should. So that's the first thing. You want to make sure you're doing something that your body is already acclimated to. So we have women come in and we have a whole protocol. Are they telling people? Is it just us who know? Oftentimes it's us and the husband that are the first to know. And we start to really pay attention. And at the second trimester, we start to modify for the core. Everyone can stay on the rebounder so long as they feel comfortable. You're elevated, same thing with the treadmill, elliptical bike. If and when your equilibrium becomes too off that you're uncomfortable, we simply do cardio on the floor. But most women stay up until birth, including myself. I jumped until literally the day I went to the hospital. Wow. And then everyone takes whatever time they need before coming back in. And they usually ease in. Online, we have a whole mama series. So we have a whole pre- and postnatal series online that leads you through every part of your pregnancy, plus the fourth trimester, which is those 3 months after birth. So everyone comes back in when they're ready, and the first few questions I ask are, did you have C-section or vaginal? Because that matters. We talk about breastfeeding. Are you breastfeeding? What is your milk supply like? Because that's really important for me to know if you're struggling or if it's plentiful. It helps me to know how much cardio we should do. If we're struggling, we don't want to come in doing full-out hard cardio. We really need to hold on to those calories. So we change things that way. The other thing that's important if you had a vaginal birth is I need to know, you need to know, we need to know if you've been cleared for prolapse. And that's basically, we want to know that everything, our uterus, all the things are going back, have gone back to where they're supposed to be, and that you have that connection again with your core. It's not going to be exactly where it was. It'll never return to what it was, right?
Oh no!
What? Really?
Really?
I'm yet to do
Bodies
it. So.
change.
I
But
actually
that's
love my
okay.
body, right?
Isn't it the best
It
post-pregnancy? I
is,
know.
yeah. I'm in a place where we'll finish it, but I'm just like, I'm in a place where I was like, it is. I was really honest. Like, I love-hate relationship with my body, and not like, but I was having comfort. I was like, as I'm working out, I'm like, it is. It's like the life that you bring and, what you carry. It's so much. And I'm proud of my body and have so much respect for women again, just like what they can do. And I've seen pregnant women come in as well. So it's like, it's a lot. It's heavy stuff.
You have a rock star in there
Yeah, you have
right
a rock
now who I won't name her just in case she doesn't want to be named, but she's become one of our friends in class, and she's right in there doing Define right up until birth.
And so your abs don't go back to before birth.
So if you think about the abs, our abs are designed like a corset that zips up the front. And so with each pregnancy, that corset has to open a little bit. And postpartum, it will go back, and you do have to be aware of something called diastasis, where that we get too separated and we can't get back. So because we want to avoid that second trimester, which is really probably for some would say maybe too early, but I would rather be cautious than not. We don't have to be doing planks when we're pregnant. We have to be working our core. We want to maintain that strength. But what happens in the plank position is you're here, right? And so gravity will start to pull all that weight down. So the heavier our belly gets, the more we're going to be pulling. So we start to modify how we work the core. And then postpartum, giving birth is the hardest workout you'll ever do.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to really recover from that. So we have to be very careful with the core after pregnancy, because we want to gradually, carefully bring things back and regain that strength and connection. I'm sure you can remember immediately post-birth, you didn't feel that connection. It was a whole new territory
I
to
thought
explore.
I lost my core for life.
Yeah.
It was gone. I didn't feel anything.
Is that really what it felt like?
Yeah.
That it just
Yeah,
wasn't
there's just
gonna-
nothing.
And it's blubber. It's so
blubber.
wild to
Yeah.
go from that hard stomach
yeah.
to like, what on earth is
I was
this?
like, "Where are you?" Oh, you're loving writing a love note. Where did you go? I miss my summers, and I miss.
I can't imagine either of you with blubber. And I mean, if you have,
It's
I'm sure you guys have all seen Shanina walking on the catwalk for Victoria's Secret. But if you haven't checked out LEK, go look at her Instagram.
Yeah.
You've never seen such a fit, lean,
Rock hard
like
abs.
rock hard abs in your life.
Yeah.
Blubber and LEK don't go together in the same sentence.
Yeah, it does. But miraculously,
They come back.
it goes back.
Yeah.
And we're just designed that way. You know, when you start breastfeeding, that contraction is what gets your uterus to go back. So the second the baby gets on the boob and starts sucking, that forces the contraction in your uterus to start going back down.
And that's how you get
that
pregnant
wild?
again. We're just women are amazing. We're machines.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I remember giving birth, and I worked out throughout my pregnancy, and I loved it. Obviously, I have a little boy, and I just had the energy to work out, and I loved it. And I kept up with Pilates and working on my. So I was sorry to say that again, blubber, but a little boy. But I was using like Pilates moves when I was giving birth.
Yeah.
And it helped. It felt like it helped so much.
You're preparing
Yeah.
for the toughest workout of your life.
yeah.
So you have to be in shape.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you recommend that women try to work out during their pregnancy.
Yes. Even if all you can do is walk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone who does will tell you that they have an easier birth
Yeah.
and a much easier recovery.
Yeah.
And as you briefly mentioned before, you do actually have some workouts for mothers at LEK, don't you?
At the studio and online with LEKFIT Digital. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about LEKFIT Digital for a minute,
Yeah.
because that is actually how I first found you.
Okay.
It was during the pandemic, I'm going to
Okay.
be honest, and this was long before I knew you. And I stumbled across, I think I must have found a video on the Explore page, or a friend told me about it or something. So I signed up for the 7-day trial.
Okay.
It was so hard that I think I dropped out at the end of the 7 days. Because I was like, I feel
not
like
the
I
first
need
time I've heard that.
Yeah, I feel like I need to get fit enough to do this workout.
Yes.
The part that made me laugh so much is that you were so heavily pregnant when you were teaching these workouts. I was like,
With
I
Lila, my
can't-
third.
I can't keep up with Lauren, and she's pregnant with Lila. This is crazy. But I did decide to give it another go when we
so
started
glad.
chatting on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I came into the class, and I'm so glad that I did, because actually getting in the classroom with you,
Yes.
I think maybe I was doing it wrong.
Well, that is the common misconception that I've heard many times. I hear everyone looks too perfect. I can't do that. That's Instagram. I want it to look pretty. And
Yeah.
everyone looks amazing. I'm also not going to post anyone in class not looking amazing.
Yeah.
So, yes, we do. The other thing that I hear is that I'm not in shape enough to do that, which if you say that out loud and think about it, it's crazy.
You're absorbing it.
Our whole job is to help you get into shape, and we have online and in the studio once a week a beginner class, but that's really just designed so that you can feel comfortable and get that like 1-on-1 or 4-on-1 in studio. It's a very small class, so that you can feel comfortable coming into a full class. But we don't divide with levels. Everyone is welcome online in studio, and you find your place, and you'll see that over time you'll build up to that, and it's what makes it exciting. Like I couldn't hold my plank that way, or I couldn't lift my legs that way, but here I am 6 months later totally killing it. So yes, it's hard, but I also follow that up immediately with, if it were easy, it wouldn't be doing anything for you, and
Right.
it would be a waste of time.
Yeah.
So it has to be hard. It has to be challenging. It's not too hard. Everyone can do it. If the leg lift is too much that day, lose the ankle weights.
Yeah.
But then, like, by Friday, you'll have them back on.
Yeah.
So I love for everyone to stay in it and really trust that like anything, like any diet, anything you're trying for the first time, it's a process. And if you get it out of the gate, you're gonna burn out. So it has to be something that's constantly ongoing. People who've been working out with me for 10 years will never say that anything was easy. Because that would be a waste of their time.
Yeah, and that is true. I have spoken to a lot of the other students that some of them have been with you for 5 years, 6 years, and they've all said, "Oh yeah, the reason that we come here is because it's constantly hard and we get results." In fact, our pregnant friend in the class turned around and said, "You are responsible for getting her pregnant again because her body was so good."
Oh, yeah, she did.
Her husband couldn't resist her.
Yeah. She's like, look, I've been working out. My body is hot. And I got pregnant again. So she's back in.
Yeah, her third baby. Yeah.
Wow, third? Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. She is a rock star.
She really is a rock star. How does the LEK method differ from men to women?
The amount of weight that we use. So, for instance, let's take this week. Women are doing 3-pound ankle weights for a portion of the class, and 6 pounds also for a portion of that class, but men would do 6 pounds the entire time. And that's really because men are, by nature, biologically stronger than us. So they have to lift just slightly higher. And it doesn't mean we do 6, we do 10, but it means that the guys are always lifting a little bit higher than us or right with us. And I'm sure you've seen many of them can't keep up.
They can't. I've seen a lot of men do classes, like even for you, like they can't keep up. And they look at the women, they're like, how do they do this? Like we take a lot, but yeah, they would give us a trophy for that because I've seen them just like.
And it's a different way than guys are used to working out. There's, you see guys lifting big heavy weights in the gym and then slamming them around and walking around for 20 minutes. It's like, just get it done. Like, keep that heart rate up, keep it moving, and you'll be on with your life sooner. I really believe that our workout has to be integrated into our daily lives, but it can't take over. Just get it done and move on.
Yeah, you do see that a lot when you go to the gym, don't you? It's just people just scrolling.
Oh my goodness, yes. When we took the kids to Cabo a few weeks ago, and I went to the gym, and this is me. I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. On the bike, on the treadmill, on the elliptical, it was wild.
I mean, is that doing anything?
Nope.
It's not, is it?
I was talking to my friend today, and I was like, "Are you at the gym?" It's like, "Yes." It's like, you're not really doing anything.
What's the point?
I hear clink of the weights in the background. I'm like, wait. Oh, and he's like, yeah, I'm just kind of bored. I was like, no. I actually brought him to a workout class and he died. He's like, I can't keep up.
Because you're forced to continue. You're in a class.
Yeah.
I think group fitness is the best. Even from being at home and seeing that live class, that's why we did it that way. Because you have that accountability of everyone else in the room with you getting it done.
Yeah. I like to be motivated. I like to go to classes.
For sure.
I want someone yelling at me.
Yeah.
She don't yell at me. She doesn't yell at me. No, but it keeps you up. It keeps you keeps up a score with yourself and make sure that you're getting the workout done and that you're being trained properly, which is really important for your own safety as well, for your body.
Form is everything.
Form is everything.
Yeah. And it's also nice to just get up, I find, wake up in the morning and just get out the door.
Get it done.
And go to your workout before you've even had a chance to think about it. Because
otherwise
I'm like, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tired. Oh, wow, I didn't do it. That's what happens.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're like still in your workout gear.
Yeah,
got
that's
dressed.
literally me.
Why does our skin look so good after your class?
Good
The
question.
rebounder.
But it's really weird.
The rebounder is amazing. So the rebounder.
Is it because of the rebounder?
Well, it's partially because of the rebounder and the environment that I've created at the studio. But the rebounder activates your lymphatic system. It is the only piece of equipment that does that. Oh, wow. And your lymphatic system is the system that rids us of toxins. So lymphatic massage has become very, very popular. Great, but you can do 2 things at once. With us, you can work out and activate your lymphatic system, which is amazing. And it's our system that only works if we activate it. Second, because we're in Los Angeles and it's extremely dry, I have controlled humidity in the studio. And
Love
that is
that.
in large part because we are in a very dry environment And we all, being in LA and probably elsewhere, spend a lot of time, money, and effort on our skin and on our hair, and we're not going to go into our workout and reverse those things. So we have to go into our workout and only add to those things. So that's why we have the controlled humidity.
So you're getting a facial when
And
you
you're
go
in
to class
infrared.
too.
You're in infrared
Yeah.
heat. Not a heated workout, just enough that once you get warm, you stay warm, and it's infrared versus like a heating HVAC system, which just dries you out. It actually is beneficial as well.
Is it good to heat your workouts versus not heated? Does it make that much of a difference?
So, yeah, yes and no. Sweating is just sweating. It's not indicative of anything other than you sweat out toxins in water, but you have to replenish that water, right? It's a bunch of things. It's psychological, right? Like most people love to sweat. You feel accomplished, and so that's totally okay. But heating to the point where your body isn't getting that heat, that temperature, that you're being forced, like a hot yoga class. Now the yoga police are gonna come after me. But
All these police.
Yeah, the yoga police are here too.
like if you walk into a room and you immediately start sweating simply because of the room, you put yourself in danger, because your body is going to feel like it can stretch, move a certain way, and maybe it's not ready for that yet. So we like to keep it not a forced heat, just a comfortable heat, completely based on what it is outside. So right now we're in LA, we're in August, September, which we're like, this is our summer. Like now it's about to get really hot. So we won't have very much heat in the room. But when we're in the winter months, we do heat the room so that once you come in and you start working out, you stay warm. Because what is also not very fun is if you go to the gym, like they're the opposite. You get in there and it's like 74, 72 degrees and you're warming up your body, and then you get blasted with some air conditioning, and that doesn't feel good for your muscles either.
Oh, I hate that.
It's
I
the
hate walking
worst.
into a cold gym.
A cold sweat is the worst.
And just like shivering. And I mean, I actually have a great gym in my building at home. And
freezing.
we don't use it because it's
Temperature is
freezing.
everything.
Yeah.
And in LA, the
Yeah.
humidity
Yeah.
is a game changer.
And that causes injury.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
If you go, you can be too cold for sure, and that can cause it. Or I think what I've seen more often is that you've gotten too hot and you've done something that your body wasn't equipped, or you weren't actually warmed up in your body to do. And you did some sort of back bend or some situation. And then, you're at risk for injury.
So let's talk about hacks, because I'm constantly seeing on your Instagram, you do have, even though you allow yourself to eat whatever you want, you do have a routine that you seem to stick to, pretty much all the time. Can you tell us about that routine?
Yeah. The first thing I do in the morning is oil pull.
What is that?
What is it?
So oil pulling, actually, like one of my clients got me onto this years ago. And you do it right away before you've had anything to drink. So I haven't even had my water yet. Immediately. And lately I've been doing olive oil. Just feels better. You can do coconut oil. There's things that are made just specifically for oil pulling. But I've been doing olive oil, and you take a swig and you hold it in, and I mush it around or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not swallowing it. You're not drinking it. You're not gargling it. You're oil pulling, and I hold it in. You have to be very careful. So my girlfriend called me the other day. She's like, I did oil pulling, like you said, and my jaw is killing me. I said, oh, no. You're not supposed to be working your jaw that whole
It's
20
like
minutes.
What does that even
tasting
look-
wine.
It's just in there. Yeah.
Working your jaw.
Well, you're in, so you're like,
What was she doing?
She brought some. Like you
Doing
take it in, you're like, here, and you're just like, you hold it in for 20 minutes and you spit it out. Then you brush your teeth, and then I go on to my apple cider vinegar situation.
What does the pulling
but
do,
the
though?
pulling pulls all the stuff that has accumulated in your mouth overnight. Like our mouths are like the gateway to all the things. And so, the theory
I was just saying that. I
behind
just
it.
smell morning breath from someone that I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, you have accumulated all kinds of things overnight while you were sleeping. So it helps to pull all that out, spit it out, brush your teeth, and then I do apple cider vinegar, lemon or lime, and warm water.
Yep, big fan of that too. I kind of make a tea in the morning now where I combine apple cider vinegar, lemon, hot water, and you don't even need honey in it because the ACV kind of makes it sort of sweet.
It does.
Yeah.
It really is good.
Yeah, it's a really nice tea.
Can we talk about why you do apple cider vinegar, hot water, and lemon? Because a lot of people will be like, why? Why do you do that? What are the benefits from that?
Detoxing, pulling again off overnight, like all the digestion. It really digestion. It helps to rev things up, and at least for me, it feels like I'm detoxifying my body and helps get things going.
Yeah.
I got really into ACV when I discovered this Instagram account called Glucose Goddess. Jessie's a scientist, and I can say she honestly changed my life with her sugar balancing hacks, I guess. So, and the biggest one she pushes through her Instagram is taking a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water, drunk through a straw because it's acidic and it can mess up the enamel on your teeth.
Yes.
And I also rinse my mouth with water afterwards.
Yes.
But the reason she teaches you to do that is because it can reduce your blood glucose spike when you eat by 30%.
So doing it before each meal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
did
amazing.
that after all my kids.
Right.
I'm not as good about it now, but right after I had all, I some weight I wanted to get off and change my body, and so before each meal I did that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it helped a lot.
Yeah, the biggest thing I notice though is I don't crash in the
No.
afternoons when I do
No.
it. Like, because you're balanced and you
stay
crave like
balanced.
way less of the sugar and the
Yes.
crap.
And
So
you don't need the blue bottle coffee run.
Exactly.
I still
3
need the blue
p.m.
bottle.
Oh,
I know. I feel like that's just like I know. I'm really bad at drinking coffee way too late in the day.
So you
Me
drink
too.
coffee?
Do you think it's a mum thing?
I think it's a mom thing. I think I just love the taste.
Yes,
Like, I love coffee.
I hated coffee before.
Really?
Hated coffee. I came to New York and being on set for extreme hours, I
you,
learned
like,
I
needed
needed
it,
a coffee. I was like, oh, but I hated it. And then I was like, just got acclimated to the taste.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's
then
acquired.
for me, then it was like matcha. Because I don't know if coffee is that, it's the spike of like really high and then the
Right.
the
matcha is kind of
matcha is like a
yeah.
even space.
Yeah.
And I guess I call
That
it the
is a
calm
good-
down is less. But
It's like gross.
I'm
Yeah.
really bad at coffee at 4:00, and I know the coffee shop's closing at 5. But
Yeah, we raced there.
yeah, we're ready.
love it.
I think it is. I think it is a new. I mean, not even almost a 1-year-old, but
Yeah.
yeah. I think I was the same way. Now I'm pretty good at stopping by. 3
What's my
o'clock.
excuse? I don't have kids. I just
It's so
like being
good.
cracked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a social thing,
Yeah.
you know. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us about food. How many meals a day do you eat?
I am not hungry in the morning.
Okay.
Me too.
So I'm not like a first thing down to breakfast. Like my husband, like I don't even talk to him until he's had a shot of espresso and something in his stomach. Like he is, it doesn't, even if we had dinner at like 10 o'clock, 10:30, he's like eating breakfast at 7 a.m. I'm
Right.
like, yo, like I'm not
Yeah.
even there yet. So I don't do like breakfast first thing. I prefer to do all my rituals and then my workout, and then probably like an hour and a half in between. I'll have a green juice right after I work out, and then I start to get hungry. I guess like the Gwyneth Paltrow vibes of
Yeah.
but you know what? Like it works. I'm also, I was thinking about on my way here. I assumed we would talk about food and stuff. I'm 43 years old, and so your metabolism does change as you get older.
I can't believe you're 43.
Oh no, it's crazy.
I just,
Every time you say
I just
that,
had a
every time
moment. I was like,
say
wait,
it,
she's
I'm like,
43.
Oh my God, I really. But I am, and what am I going to do? Not embrace it? It's just what I am.
You look 20.
So, thank you, Nancy Samolitis.
Shut up.
Love all
Shut
the,
up.
the hacks.
So I'm just not that hungry. I'm 43, like I said. My metabolism is different and changing, and I prefer to eat only when I'm hungry. So
Right.
I probably have like what I call brunch, right? Like that is my favorite meal of
Big
the
brunch
day.
fan over here too.
Yeah, and then I have dinner with my family, and if I'm hungry in the middle of the day, which I am, I'll certainly snack. Always have something for dessert. And there's, like I said, there's no rules. So if I'm hungry, I eat. If I'm not
Yeah.
hungry, well, I'm not going to eat anything.
So you don't consciously fast. You just listen to your body.
Listen to my body completely.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of some people like love breakfast. My partner and I, we're not breakfast people. Like I'm not, and it's been like that since I was a child.
Same.
Like my
My
mom
middle
trying to
child is
force
like that,
me
yes.
to eat, and sorry TMI, but like one time I threw up
'Cause you
because I just don't want it.
Yeah.
And I've learned like it just doesn't work for me. I literally follow your method as well. I'm here that like I have a green juice, I'll have a coffee or a green juice.
Yeah.
Georgia and I usually do brunch because we're talking about work or whatever it is, and we love like a wrap, breakfast wrap filled with everything.
Big burrito fan over
Big
here.
burrito fans here. And then dinner is my favorite meal
Yeah.
of the day.
Love dessert too.
Yes.
Big dessert
I
people.
can't go to bed without dessert.
So do you
Yeah.
believe just like listening to your body is most important? Because
Yeah. I think across the board for anything, your intuition, how you're feeling with your workout, that's a big reason why we have at LEKFIT different concepts. Because you might wake up and not want to do a boost class. You might just want to take it to the mat. You might want to just do a 20-minute LEKFIT chill. That's why we offer all of those things. So you don't feel forced to do something, and you just listen, check in, where am I at, what am I needing today, and do with that. I think if we live that way, ultimately we find that we're much happier and satisfied. I think if we're depriving ourselves or forcing something, we're not going to be satisfied, and that leads to all kinds of demise.
I have a bit of a naughty question.
Yes.
Oh.
Do you think workouts help sex libido?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
For sure. 100%.
Okay.
100%. So the workouts really boost serotonin and
I've
your
also
sex.
been known to be like the baby making class. I mean, our playlists are pretty sexy.
They are
They
pretty
are.
sexy. They are. Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a music video, but I love it.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
feel
very, it's very motivating.
Yeah.
Gets you some ideas for the bedroom. It's like, wow, that's great. Lauren might try that one.
Yeah, you go to LEKFIT to limber up and then you go home, honey.
There was a while where
you
there were
doing?
so many of us who were pregnant
Yeah.
Really?
at the same time. Mhm.
I love
Was it
that.
summer?
It was in the summer, spring, summer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was in my first studio pre 2020 times.
Okay, so you just called it 2020. You didn't call it COVID or the pandemic.
No.
Let's talk about that because I know
Let's
you've
do.
got some views on
Some strong opinions.
Yeah, some strong opinions on vaccines and stuff, which actually I do too.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not an anti-vaxxer. I've been vaccinated for everything, and it's fine if people are. But I got a vaccine injury,
Yeah.
so we've talked a bit about this, outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
And you had sort of an interesting journey through 2020, didn't you?
We did. Yeah.
What
we
happened?
did. So, long story short, my very first studio, I started out of our home. We have a garage guest house that we started the studio in Hancock Park. And in 2019, we finally found the space that we are in today. It took quite some time to build out. And during that time, we were thankfully blessed to be so overwhelmed with classes and people that my home could no longer sustain it and my neighbors would no longer tolerate it.
And this is in 2019?
So we started I launched officially private, if you know, you know, classes in 2013. In 2016, we launched LEKFIT Digital. And also by 2016, it was kind of like anyone and everyone who could find us through Instagram, online, Google search. If you found us, you could sign up for class and come to my house.
Oh, wow.
And so, so we did that, and it actually took years to find the space that we're actually in now. And so once we finally did, we had outgrown the home studio, and we moved to a pop-up in summer of 2019, right next to Republic, so just a few blocks from where we are today on La Brea.
Right.
And everything was going smooth. We were building out the new studio. We were down on the other corner, and on that fateful day in March of 2020, March 14th, there was a notice that we were going to have to close, and that made absolutely zero sense to me, not one bit of it.
So you heard about this horrible, scary virus that was from overseas.
And we should say I was pregnant at the time, so I had every reason to be.
So you were immediately skeptical of COVID. Like you weren't worried, oh my God, this, because I mean, I remember back to that time, I was hearing rumors coming out of, different places on earth that I remember somebody, I think it was my mother, called me and said, people are falling over in the streets and just dying, and made it sound like it was some sort of, Ebola virus or something. And so I got scared for the first few weeks. I thought, oh my God, what is this thing? Like, are we all going to go out in the streets and die? And then, yeah, you didn't believe that.
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I just didn't. I think that whatever it is, and not to get religious, but I think I've been blessed or given some, we all have it, especially as females, intuition. And I have really been able to tap into mine, listen to mine, and intuitively, instinctively, it made no sense to me. And
Right.
if something doesn't make sense to me, I'm not capable of following it.
Yeah, understanding it.
And so I had a similar thing. I had just announced our pregnancy, and I remember getting out of my car going into the studio, and somebody says to me, "You better get a bunch of masks, Lauren. This is going to be major." And I was like, "What?" And I just blew it off, and it just didn't. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It made no sense. And so and on top of that, I am actually a huge germaphobe because I don't have time to be sick.
Right.
So
yeah, there's hand sanitizer everywhere in the studio.
I remember when somebody said, my production who was with me at the time, she's since moved out of Los Angeles, but she stayed working closely with us during that entire time. But she literally said, she's like, "I'm just gonna live like Lauren lives." I was always cleaning, washing my hands. If you were sick, maybe go home or don't come near me, because none of us have time for this. Go take care of you, get well, come back. And that was our motto, and that just made sense to me. This made absolutely no sense to me. And at the time I was pregnant and had 2 very young children. And we had the studio, we had the pop-up, and as we know, we're in Los Angeles, which was one of the hubs of insanity. And
So you feel like it was insanity.
I feel like it was absolute insanity, and just so many things were there's no better word than insane. I remember being at the OB for one of my checkups, and Romy, my 8-year-old now, at the time was in preschool, and her preschool emailed and said, this was within days of saying everything's closing, and then they literally emailed within 2 days, and they said, "We're going to stay open for these kids. If you want to come, if you don't, blah, blah, blah." And I said to my OB, "Oh my God, Romy's school's going to stay open. Should I send her?" She said, "Absolutely, hands down." Her kid was in elementary school. She said, "If my son's school was staying open, he'd be there on Monday. Send her." Cut to within 24 hours, that was all canceled because people
Within
just
24 hours.
People started saying, all the things that we
Saying
were
stuff.
told if you were open, all the things that you were told. So my children, I had preschooler and first grader. That was it. School was over. They were done. So they were homeschooled for almost 2 years.
How did you feel as a mother having these young children at home? What was that like? And a business owner.
I'll tell you the saddest thing, and he was so young, he probably doesn't remember, but it is etched into my brain so deeply, I'll never forget it. The absolute saddest thing was, I hope I don't cry, was that we kept them in, we were so what is happening?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And the school that he was in did the whole, I hate the word Zoom also. I'm so traumatized.
You're triggered by the word Zoom US.
But they tried the whole Zoom thing. And my husband was very much like, these kids have to stay in school. We're not going to lose this education. So he was adamant that my son get online. And I remember getting the computer. My kids had barely been on screens unless we were on an airplane. They had not been on iPads. They were
wow.
not, they'd never seen like a laptop besides ours. They'd never been on one.
So you didn't use Miss Rachel as your babysitter, like
No, I don't
a
even
lot
know
of
if she
people.
was around.
I don't think she
Oh,
was.
she
No,
wasn't?
she wasn't around. Yeah, she's only like
Yeah.
She's a
she's like
godsend.
2 years
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah. So she
Yeah.
wasn't around. So I put him on, and I'll never forget. Went into his room. It was early in the morning. Everyone was discombobulated. I was pregnant. We had the little preschooler. We had him, and I signed him on. And they had all the pop-ups of the kids, and I stood in his bedroom door, and I watched him sit in his pajamas with his back against his bed on the floor at that computer, and I just watched tears run down his face
Aw.
as he watched, and I took it and I said, done. We're done. No, I'm not, no way. We're not doing that. Thankfully, we, our neighbors are our best friends and our kids' best friends. And we found our people, and one of my best friends developed a camp, did a camp at our house during that summer for all the kids who weren't being locked up in their house. And we just kept them moving and playing sports and dancing and did homeschooling. Not myself, thank God I found a tutor.
Yeah.
And we kept them going as normal as possible. So with that, the studio, because where we are, there were, if you can believe it, people going around and finding, I'm sure you saw all the sensationalized arrests. There were all kinds of crazy things. So we closed the pop-up, and at the time we were doing construction on our home, and we were set to turn the studio, what was the studio, into what is now our pool house. We kept it the studio. I maintained LEKFIT Digital the entire time. My husband and I, who's also my business partner, made the conscious decision. At the time, we had like 20 employees. We said, we will keep anyone and everyone employed who wants to be employed. We gave everyone a raise.
Oh, wow.
And
good on you.
we kept everyone employed. Now, ultimately, one by one, some would just trickle off and decide they couldn't leave their house, they could, whatever the things that were coming up for them. But we ended that time with 4 employees that we kept through the whole time.
Wow.
And then began our rehiring process. But I kept that going, and then we kept construction going on the studio. And the second that was open, I was there with classes, and it just didn't occur to me that there would be such a backlash for being a space that kept people healthy should they choose as grown adults to
Make that choice to
make
go.
that choice. And so, and I guess it's just my nature, my personality. I didn't feel the need to hide it or be scared about. I knew that I wasn't doing anything but helping. There was no harm being done. But I also wasn't prepared for the amount of crazy backlash from the emails to reporting us to the city, to all the horrible Google and Yelp reviews, all of the horrible text messages I received from anyone who had my number was obviously considered a friend.
What?
Wow.
People were just,
It was
they
wild.
just decided
The
to abuse
comments.
you
They're
because
not
you
your
made
friends anymore.
No.
No.
So wait, let me get this straight. So you made a decision to keep your studio open. You weren't going to people's houses, dragging them out and forcing them in there. So these are clearly people that felt the same way you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people were abusing you for that?
Legit. And I mean, one day I should just like print all of them. The direct messages, the emails, the texts, the Yelp reviews, the Google reviews. Thankfully, legally, they were lies. And so if you have a business and somebody is spreading lies about you, you're able to take legal action on those things. And so we did. But yeah, and I wasn't going to have people working out in any way with their face covered and their nose covered.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. I
was
remember doing that and I couldn't
beyond.
breathe.
That was
Yeah.
beyond. And now,
So you're not supposed to breathe in your own oxygen.
no,
That's
you're
what they said
not.
when
And you
working
shouldn't
out.
be wearing those types of masks either.
Yeah,
they're
because-
not just plain pieces of clean organic cloth. That's not what they're made out of. So no, we didn't, because that made absolute no sense to me. And so there was a whole backlash of that, and I had to, people, there was a reporting system, which it's crazy to me that in the United States that something could happen like that, but it was, and we handled it very diplomatically, and thankfully I know my rights and I know the law, and we handled that. But we would have to deal with daily, weekly drive-bys from the city and harassment, and yeah, it was quite
Wow.
a wild time.
What kind of impact did this have on your business? Was it good for business? Was it bad for business?
It was both. We
Okay.
went through, I think it's no secret, we're in Los Angeles, which is a very specific city in the overwhelming views. It is crazy and ultimately really sad to me that something like this became a political situation.
Yeah, it did. Sure did.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
by design, I would think, because
Yeah.
it was so strong.
Unfortunately, a lot of people support politics like sporting teams, don't they? They don't really
Yes.
think, well, I kind of agree with a bit from column A and a bit from column B. And,
Yeah.
it's like you support one or the other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if morally it's not what you agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I became fearless about it. I had a sense that, they weren't my friend then, they probably never were my friend. And these were, it's crazy how it's your closest friend, who you think is your closest. And so there was a grieving period for sure.
Wow.
To deal with that. And then it would be the strangers, people who, people really thought that you were a threat and then would send threats your way. And it was complete and utter chaos. But it would not have been within my nature to conform or do something that didn't feel right.
Even if people listening right now don't agree with your decision to stay open or whatever, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions,
course.
I think you have to respect somebody who actually takes time to think about things themselves and make their own decisions and
Common sense is
not
so
necessarily,
important.
fall into the hysteria,
Yeah.
which it was.
Yeah, it was. It was hysteria. And look, I can certainly understand that fear. And I think I could have easily felt it. I was pregnant. I had young kids. And I don't know what it is other than a God-given intuition that I was able to really tap into and follow.
I think for me, COVID, there were so many stories of what it is and what it wasn't.
It was
We
hard
didn't
to
have,
know.
it's the unknown that creates fear.
Sure.
No one wants to get sick. No one wants to die.
Yeah.
Going to hospital, and your aim wasn't to, have people in a room and spread COVID.
Of course not.
It's to get
Spread anything.
spread
You don't want
anything.
anyone
Yeah,
there
if
who's
yourself, you're
sick.
pregnant.
Yeah.
I think for me, the times that I tried my best to not get COVID, I ended up getting COVID. It's just like
Hilariously, always at the same time.
always
as
at the
me.
same time.
Something's
And it just-
airborne.
Also, like, how you take care of yourself also attracts, like, when you're run down,
Yeah.
you catch a flu. Like, if you're taking care of yourself, and listen, everybody's different as well. Don't say
Everybody's
it doesn't. You can be healthy, and some people were really, really healthy and unfortunately got COVID and had, terrible things that happened. But
Why I said it was hilarious that Shanina and I had COVID at the same time is because we've had it 3 or 4 times at the same time in different countries.
yeah.
So we joke about, how women's periods can get synced? We
Yes.
joke that our COVID gets synced.
We are COVID buddies.
Yeah, we're COVID
I've had it
buddies.
4 times, and I had the big one
I had
before
the
the
big
vaccine. The vaccine.
Did you get that one?
I don't know what I've had. I've probably since, thankfully, knock on wood, I don't get sick very often.
Not surprised. You're so healthy.
Yeah, because you're.
But I want to say There was, I feel like in like my 20s, I feel like around college, like I got like a really intense flu, like once in my 20s, once before I met my husband. And the times over the past few years that I've gotten sick, it's been like a 24-hour bug.
Amazing. Lucky
Wow.
you.
Really. Knock on whatever. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
healthy immune system.
I'm sorry that your friends came after you during that time, especially, while you're pregnant. But
Did they circle back? I mean,
But I don't know if it's my star sign Taurus, like,
stubborn.
yeah. it's
yeah, the ball's
how-
done.
Yeah, right? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
That's okay, I
Taurus
think-
rising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to believe that things happen the way that they're supposed to.
Right.
I ended up finding my amazing core group of friends, and we are like-minded, not completely. We balance each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it works.
Yeah. How do you feel about the vaccine?
Because
Because I know how I feel about the vaccine.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it, Georgia?
I'll tell you, I'm very pro vaccines in general. I was vaccinated for everything as a kid. I believe that vaccines have saved us from some pretty nasty stuff in the past. I wasn't anti-vax with the COVID vaccine either. I definitely had my reservations getting it because it was a vaccine that was produced quite quickly out of necessity.
Sure.
But I didn't really feel like I wanted it because I just had the first strain, which I did get quite sick. But I'm young and healthy, and so I was able to survive it. And then right after that, when I had a really high amount of antibodies in my system, I had to go to Australia. And Australia, in order to get in at the time, it was mandatory that you had to be vaccinated. And they did not take into account prior exposure, immunity, anything like that. So I remember at the time I thought, well, that's ridiculous. That's literally going against science, which I do have a problem with. But I hadn't seen my mum in 2 years, so I wanted to go back to see my family. So I went and got vaccinated, and I got the 2 Pfizer shots. Immediately after taking the first Pfizer shot, I passed out in the car. My gums were bleeding, and that went on for weeks. I just really didn't feel well. And then I started to get nerve pain down this arm, which to this day has never gone away. Right. But I ended up getting the second shot. I thought, maybe I'm just a bit sick after the first one. Got the second shot so I could go back to Australia. My body's never recovered. And I'm not a scientist, but the only thing I can think of is that because I got vaccinated so soon after having COVID, even though I was cleared by my doctor to do so, I think my body just got overloaded.
Yeah.
So yeah, not an anti-vaxxer, but that one was strong.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
When I became a mom for the first time 10 years ago, that was the height of what we call anti-vaxxing, which is like a bad title to give it. It should just be a choice to put something in your body or not. But I don't know if you guys remember, but Jenny McCarthy, who's like an amazing actress model, was really vocal about it. And she experienced a significant amount of backlash simply by voicing something that she had experienced. And she is who she is, so she had a voice and she used it. And when I was a mom, I just didn't, when I became a mom, I didn't really know. But I knew that. And I was lucky enough to meet a woman who had also experienced through her sister a terrible vaccine injury. So I was able to have that awareness, and I just learned about it. It didn't become anti or pro anything. I just had an awareness that things could happen. And again, I had that keen, call it intuition, whatever it is, I had that keen sense that I'm not going to put something in my body if I don't need it. So with that, I don't take medicine unless I need it.
Yeah.
I had that already as a teenager. So I just knew that if I didn't need something, why would I take something? And so with my kids, we live in the state of California, so certain things have to be done. And they've been given certain things that made me feel comfortable. And at the time, I know I've said to you, if I had to do it all over again, I would give them nothing. And I have no problem saying that because that's my choice
They're
for
your
my
kids,
children.
yeah.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have done things very differently. But thankfully, they're completely fine. I'm completely fine.
Yeah.
But with something like this, it's the same thought that I have around the flu shot. I don't give that to myself nor my children because it just doesn't seem to be something they need. So I had very much the same idea with this new vaccine. That
Right.
why would I give them that? So no, I didn't.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm not, and it's not something that we would ever even consider.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it sort of felt like, looking back, and like I said, I made the decision to do it because I wanted to see my family, but
Right.
I kind of feel like we were sort of lab rats. You know, that's sort of what it felt like. It's like, how could you possibly test this adequately when you're rolling it out in that amount of time?
It's the same. It's the same thing that applies to everything. Is common sense. So even with a workout, if you go to a workout and you look at what's going on, and people look like they're in pain, or you see them the next day and they're not able to walk, or they're not able to perform something, you would want to dig into that common sense and say, this workout's not for me.
Right.
So you have to apply that to everything in life, and just all of it.
Yeah.
The way that you were driving up to get it in your car, the whole thing was so outlandish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't have even occurred to me to get it done simply because of how it was being done. I mean, also ingrained is the former, governor of New York, who was on TV eating French fries, talking about if you got it, you would get McDonald's French fries.
Wait, what?
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember.
There was
I mean,
some wild
so
stuff.
wild things.
Yeah.
I think for me, the COVID vaccine wasn't a cure. It was a treatment to stop the spread it was a decision that we had to make for everybody else. And that was the hard thing because it's like we have to get back to life and work, and how do we help especially with the elderly. I think the kids, for me, I've taken my son to the pediatrician. They offer the COVID vaccine. For me,
For
absolutely.
babies?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Even
And
though the science we know
Absolutely
now
not.
doesn't
I'm
really-
not having my child. This is just my personal opinion.
If you read the fine print,
I
it's all
don't want.
there.
He's a growing baby, and for me, even still, like COVID vaccine is still very fresh and new,
Right.
and we've seen some repercussions where people taking the vaccine. I think it's sometimes everyone's body is so different and what they react to.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. And for me, I've seen a lot of women dealing with blood clots after, just from my point of view. And I can be wrong. Like, I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
but you don't have
just
to-
don't know. It's
Yeah.
the unknown.
Yeah.
Everything is based on a choice. And COVID was a place of like the unknown. It was a fear.
Yeah, for sure.
And I did Johnson & Johnson. I was I'm scared of needles. I'm okay with needles, but I'm like, I'll do one
it was
one shot and I'm done. And the reactions for everybody, like my partner, he had COVID for 24 hours pretty much after he got the vaccine.
Right.
Me, I was fine. Did it stop me from getting COVID? I got COVID 4 times after I had my vaccine.
Yeah. I kept getting it like clockwork. Pretty much every 6 months.
And the booster wasn't going to help because I've had family who's had the booster and got sick a week later, 2
they
weeks
got
later, 3
COVID.
weeks later. So for me,
moral of the
I
story is
made
it
that.
didn't work.
Yeah, it's your experience. People make choices off their experience.
Yeah. And you should be able to just make your own choice and not be afraid should you choose to share what that choice is about anything. I have friends that have had plastic surgery and get Botox and will swear up and down that they've never done that. And that's okay. That's not something they have to share. That's their own personal choice. And we should just all give grace and be okay. We're all in the world now, we're so involved with what everyone else is doing, and much to our demise, right? Like, we put that stuff out there, we share it, and it's just a cycle ongoing. We're sharing everything so that we feel like we're entitled to know everything, and we're not.
And entitled to judge other people
Yes.
when we're not.
Yeah.
I will say though, when the right measure I've taken when I've been sick though is mask up, stay inside, and like I want to be cautious of everybody else. And even
That's
I've
what
got
you
sick
should
around
do
my
when you're
like
sick.
my
Yeah.
my baby. I was like, I'm putting a mask on. I sent him to grandma's. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to get sick. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're actually sick
I'm
at
sick.
that point.
My Zai's dad, I've had COVID 3 times around him. He's kissed me.
He doesn't get it.
He never gets it.
He's never had it, has he?
Never had it.
Neither's his dad.
Never.
So maybe it's like a genetic thing. It's so
I
interesting.
don't know what it was like when you guys were kids, but when I was a kid, like if you got something, your mom wanted everyone to get it, so it would just run through your house and you'd be done with it.
Yeah, our
Yeah,
parents
I
used
remember
to have
that. Yes, it's
chicken
like,
pox.
everybody
You
get
sick.
it.
Yeah.
Getting sick is part of life, and getting sick is exercising your body's immune system. That's
Yep.
what I would tell my kids. Again, like what we believe in God in my house, so we talk about that a lot. My kids are in Catholic school. But you have a God-given immune system, and your body is designed. You're supposed to go to the park when you're little and play in the sand and hold the dirt and have your feet off and have your shoes off and get dirty, because that's how you build up immunity to life. You don't want to be the person who doesn't want to go to the restaurant because you're scared of germs. You don't want to be the person who doesn't want to shake hands or give hugs because you're scared of that stuff. You
Sounds like a
wanna
boring
live
life.
right. You want to be out and travel and do all kinds of things and be in all kinds of places and trust that your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to handle these things. It's designed. It's so miraculous and amazing. It's designed. And yes, things happen. There are terrible, absolutely terrible
Absolutely. Yeah.
tragedies. I'm not, of course, disputing that. But that doesn't have to make everything for everyone. That too is very much a part of life. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, it was a lot of tragedy I've seen. It really affected the elderly. Obviously,
Sure.
your body changes with age and your organs change, so it's more of a fight for them, and that was terrible to watch.
It's
but
like
then,
any flu season.
any
You
flu
always
season.
have to be more cautious.
and the
of
spread
that.
of the time rate was the effect of why it was really, really bad as well, because so many people had to go to the hospital. They just don't have the care to take care of that many people.
Yeah.
But there was I've seen so many unfortunate events where just like young, healthy people, it just like took over their body, and really unfortunate events happened. It's terrible. It's survival. It literally, for me, how I looked at it was survival of the fittest. It was scary times. It is a fear that it was the unknown of
the
like
unknown.
what's going to happen. But I think it is right. Like choice for yourself is really important. For people to not judge or maybe just understand it, and you don't have to agree. You can be like, I
and
disagree.
grace for others.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to understand somebody else.
Yeah.
You just have to have grace. Because there's a ton of it that I don't understand, but
It's a choice.
it's not my life, it's your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you do you, I'm gonna do me. But we shouldn't force what you're doing to be what I'm doing and vice versa.
Agreed.
It's just across the board on all things.
Agreed. I admire your strength and your independence and your free thinking spirit.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's been amazing having you in here today. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
My
We can't wait to
pleasure.
get back into class.
Yes.
Absolutely. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.